Okay, so I'm working on this project that uses NCBI's API to gather information about a specific gene or a list of genes. And so if you go to NCBI and type in a gene, okay, so here we have the gene database and a bunch of information about this specific gene. So we have its name, we have the gene ID, which is how NCBI sort of identifies this gene, and then we have a bunch of like the summary, I think is usually pretty important, the full name, and I also like some other stuff in NCBI allows you to look at sort of disorders or diseases associated with the gene's variants or mutations in the gene. So also the location is helpful. Um, okay, so we have this. NCBI's API is this Entrez thing, and so it's pretty useful. There's three functions that I used a lot. So here, the ones that I'll be walking through today are the eSearch, eSummary, and eFetch. So eSearch kind of searches the specific database that you put in, and then eSummary gives you specific things from that. And then eFetch lets you sort of look at the whole NCBI thing instead of a specific database. Okay, so we're gonna go through this code here. Ideally, so actually before we do that, I want to note that to start, you should have your terminal open, and then you should also have this text edit software. There's a bunch of different types out there. If you're working with Python, I think the most common one is PyCharm. But you also want to, so you want to make this file. Here we can, if you go to, format, it should be in plain text, so it should not be enriched text. So that's sort of important. And for file, for this, if you're saving a Python script, you need to put this and then uncheck this. So that's a little note for Mac users. But for here, oh my gosh, here I want to use a text file, and we're gonna say this is gene list, and I want TB53, ADM6A. These are just two genes that I know about, and I know what I should get from the results. So yeah, so we're just gonna keep this. Right now I'm working in my desktop, so I'm gonna change my directory to desktop, and now we can start working. Biggest things for this, you need to have the bio Python package installed. So um, this guy. So this allows you to actually use NCBI's API and gives you a lot of functions. So this is really important to have. So you want to install that in I think that's, yeah, okay. So we have that installed. We also have these other things installed. You should definitely have pandas already installed if you're working with Python. Okay, so we can go through sort of the steps on how I got here. Number one, I wanted to get the actual gene information. So here, you have to put in your email. I don't know if this is necessary, but it does help with NCBI's sort of tracking, so you should do it. It's good practice. Excuse me. So here we're using the eSearch function. We're looking at the gene database, and then we're going to put in, it's going to run through each of the genes in our list and search for human. So the first time I did this, I didn't have this caveat, and I got some weird stuff. So I specified this just because, one, I really only care about the humans right now, and then two, it was giving me some funky stuff before. So we're gonna search this database, we're gonna get the gene, and then, so that is basically the same as what we did here, where we're in the gene database and then we're searching for the that and Homo sapien or whatever. So this first part is exactly what we did here. So once we have that, we can have so within this we're making this like object. I don't really know the terminology that well, so I'm sorry if this sounds a bit confusing, but this is how I understand it, so maybe you can get something from it. So this search result is holding everything that we got here. So it's holding basically this page, right? And in that, the first thing in this is going to be the gene ID. And so we need that to move forward because the rest of the code sort of relies on the gene ID. It doesn't really rely on the name of the gene so much, but gene ID is what the sort of program is going to be looking for. And so now we're using this eSummary function. Again, we're looking at the gene database and then the gene ID. So this should give you all the specifics that were on that page. So, and this is just stating the things that we have. So we have the gene name and we have the gene ID. In summary results, we're looking for this document summary set. This took a long time to find. So this is specifically talking about like descriptions of your gene, and this is something specific to NCBI's website. So we're looking for this thing with inside our results, and this is stating that like we're now getting the things that are inside this document summary set, and then we're gonna sort of go through the whole thing and pull out information that we want. So I want the description, the location, like the chromosome location, aliases, other designations, and summary. So that's sort of the first part. So uh, the second part is looking at the diseases. So here we're using the efetch function. Again, we're using the gene database, and uh, we're creating this empty list, and here we're going through the commentary for this gene. I don't know exactly what all these things mean. How I got this was basically iterating through a bunch of the same prompts in ChatGPT, and just refining it over and over and over again until I got things that worked well. Part of this process was making sure that this this page or this document actually worked, like this function actually worked. So uh, so that's a thing. So this is just allowing all the diseases or disorders to be put on the same page. We're using eSearch again. Here we're looking at PubMed results. So I wanted the top article for the specific gene name and then microtubule, just because this is sort of the focus of my project for my next rotation. Uh, Another thing you put it here is like disease or cancer or whatever. And so this is pulling out I think it seems like NCBI uses a bunch of dictionaries. So there's lists inside lists inside lists. So here we're looking at this PubMed results, and then we're looking inside that, we're looking at the PubMed ID, and then we're reading this PubMed summary, and then we're pulling out the actual results from inside that. So here where I'm asking for the article title and then the link, this just puts it all on the same page. And then finally, the last part of this is the another function. So like this is the big fetch gene info function, and then we have the actual function that lets us do things, right? So here we're going to take a list of genes, and then we're going to have the output be an Excel spreadsheet. And yeah, so that's basically it. Here I'll run the actually I think this is inside another. So we're gonna how do you run something in Python? Here, I'll show you guys kind of what my process looked like. So I went through so many iterations of this code. This is one problem. This is something that I talked about before in my prompt, AI prompt video. The hardest part is that, like, AI can't actually understand things, and so um, if I want if I want the diseases from the OMIM database, before I just asked for phenotypes and it gave me, it wouldn't work. And so I didn't know how else to say that. And so it took a while to get this result. Um, Same thing with this document summary set. It didn't know what it was doing, so it was looking at the like properties thing within the Entrez. And so that took a while because obviously I don't know this and chat didn't know that either. So um, yeah, so this is kind of the start of like my real code. So I ask chat to run through the exact steps for uh, doing this coding. I don't think I view myself as a very good coder, and so it's helpful for all the steps to be there, even if it seems sort of trivial. Um, yeah, it was trying to give me this, but what I really wanted was this uh, within the document summary set. Um, okay, so it's gonna run the program, and usually for these steps, for checking your work, I wouldn't have it save the file. I would just have it print it, and so this would look pretty different. Um, you can see here. Uh, is it? Maybe I didn't ask it until later. Um, there's definitely something in here that I'm having trouble finding at the moment, but basically you can just ask chat that you want this the results of this code to get printed into the terminal, and then once it looks good you can then save it as a file. So uh, the results are saved to this file. I'm going to look for that. And here we can see we have the gene name, the gene ID, and then the description, which is just the name of the gene. And then we have the chromosome location. We have other names that this gene goes by, and uh, sort of other ways to classify it. And then here, the summary is really important. This is usually the information that I look for when I search for a gene. Um, and then here are some disorders or sort of conditions that are associated with uh, this gene's variants. And then here we have the PubMed article. So um, we have the name and then we have the link. So this really tells you a lot about each of the genes. And so in the future, my project is, this is literally just like a, a little bit of a literature literature search. So there's probably like 40-ish genes that the lab that I'm in is interested in. And so in the future, I'm gonna uh, save a list of those genes and then just run it through here, and hopefully I get a very succinct sort of spreadsheet telling me the information that I actually want to know. So this is helpful so you don't have to do things over and over and over again, even though I did I I did this code over and over and over again with chat. But I think this, for someone who doesn't know how to do API stuff or is super familiar with NCBI's database, I think it's pretty impressive that I can work on this for a day and then get the results that I want. So um, it's just another example of how helpful AI can be. So yeah, see, it really wanted to use this for the longest time, and I forget what I said, but I was like, let's do something different. Um, I think I looked through a lot of NCBI's sort of documentation until I was like, let's try something else. Um, yeah, you can see how long this chat is, but I'll post this. The biggest reason why I wanted to put this out there is because I couldn't find a source talking about using NCBI's API to pull out gene information. So I thought this video would be helpful for those who want to go forward. So thank you.